Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking. If it means a lot to you guys, keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And you read the title. You guys know what I'm going to be arguing today. And hopefully, if you're a Maryanne stan, I can change your mind. And if you're not, then good job for having some common sense. Now, to be very clear, because I have some friends that I agree with on a bunch of stuff, but they specifically like to talk about how annoying Maryanne is. This is not that video. This is not about how annoying she is or her personality, which is, definitely has some validity to it. This is all about her gameplay, because obviously she's coming out as this front runner to win the season, with everybody else having big flaws in their game and or edit. And so it seems like she's probably going to win the season. I do want to touch on the fact that I don't even think she's a good player, let alone a good winner possibility. So in this video, I'm basically going to be detailing why I feel like she's a bad player, not necessarily why I think she doesn't deserve to win or doesn't deserve to get the jury votes. This is about just her as a player of the game. Okay, so first her pre-merge game. So obviously she starts out in the majority really being Omar's number one ally, at least to her. That's what he was to her. But it seems like Jonathan and Omar during the pre-merge were the closest on that tribe, with Jonathan and Lindsay being a close second. She's getting on people's nerves during the pre-merge, and there's only really one vote that she has to survive, and she does that by out-surviving the person who socially just has no chance on that tribe. She's the old person among young people. On top of that, she's a physical liability, and this was the second vote of the season. It really, like, the odds were stacked against Maria, and so I think it is not really that fair to say that, oh, well, Maryanne survived a vote, so that shows her superiority at the game in the pre-merge. I think her pre-merge game is god-awful and is really the worst part of her game, and the part that makes it hard to change my perception of her, even when the edit is trying to shove that down my throat. We then get to the merge, where for the first 4 votes, Maryanne has the Taku tribe staying together. Now, that's mostly through Omar's doing, and all of the plans that keep them together, including the one at the hourglass twist, is because of Omar. But I will say she does stay alive, and she is vulnerable at this hourglass tribal, where she should have gotten more votes than she actually did. I will say, though, that the fact that she's the one being targeted from this Taku strong 4, when Omar is a bigger threat strategically, Jonathan and Lindsay are bigger threats physically, I think it's not really a good look, because Maryanne isn't even better socially than those people. So really, there's no reason that she should be the one being targeted out of the Taku Power 4 first, and I think it shows a lack of social awareness. And so she's targeted for, like, basically the first 4 rounds up until when High goes. Then the game kind of kicks into gear, and this is where Maryanne starts to do a little bit better, where she does latch on to these blindside plans of High, Drea, and then also eventually Omar. The issue is, specifically, High and Drea's blindsides were not of her doing, and she even claims earlier in the season that she could not vote for Drea because it was a problematic pattern. And then all of a sudden, now it's okay to vote for Drea. And again, we did kind of skip over that, but I think the tribal in which she plays her idol is less of a good move than it was for Drea. For Drea, I can see the appeal, where she's going home at that tribal, and she switches it up by playing her idol before the vote, forcing bonds to be broken and people to be more open with their strategy, causing fractures in the tribe. And she does make it through this kind of murky part of the game where they split, whereas in Maryanne's idol play is completely unwarranted. And if she just didn't bring up the race thing in the first place and kind of latch onto that as well and get super emotional over it and attack Jonathan over it, then she would not have had to play her idol. And again, she really didn't even have to anyway. She could have just, kind of played Jonathan dirty and not played her idol. It wouldn't have looked the best on TV, and of course that's not really what you should be thinking about out there. But of course she knew that she would get canceled on Twitter if she played the race card but then didn't fully play the race card by also playing her idol. So it's a bad situation overall, and she did get herself into that situation. After this, once the blindsides start to happen, she does latch on to the majority going after High, which is impressive, and then she also latches on to the majority going after Drea, which is again also impressive, but it's just not impressive enough to be considered like game-winning moves, like game-changing. That is the moment where Maryanne became the winner of Survivor 42. It's just not really like these winning moments that you see from people like Tony with the extortion episode, or people like Ben bombing his way to the end, or even social winners like Michelle, where she starts winning immunities, or when she dodges the vote at the Final Four. To me, it's very, very impressive, and I just don't really see much impressive with these. And then her quote unquote big move of the season happened last episode, where she has Lindsay and Omar convinced that they are in control when really it's them versus everyone else, where she essentially gets their two votes to go on Jonathan, gets 2 votes to go on Romeo, and 3 to go on Omar, using her own extra vote, which is impressive. It's an objectively good move, but I think it's being hyped up as too much of her move, when really Mike and Jonathan had the better idea, which is to just take out Romeo. Now, is it better for Maryanne's game? Maybe not, but it's better for their games. And I think the fact that she quote unquote convinced them is really more of them just realizing that Maryanne had the power in that situation, just based off of where she came from and the advantages that she got. Her other moves in the game, I guess you could say would be finding an idol, but that idol seemed pretty easy to find. I don't know. I'm just really not convinced that Maryanne is this legendary player that her stands are making her out to be. And I see a very deep similarity between her and Erica, and that's why I think maybe Maryanne is almost a guaranteed winner at this point. And it would really suck to have 2 really passive, bad players win the game over people who are just playing the game harder, like Deshawn in 41, and then also like, for an example, a Mike in this season, or also an Omar. So it's tough. It's a tough situation, and I think we could be getting our winner in Maryanne in the upcoming finale episode. I mean, if you look at it, right, the first round, it has to be Jonathan or Lindsay going home, because Romeo obviously will never get voted out because he's a goat to drag to the end. Maryanne won't be voted out because she has an idol that she has to play next round. And on top of that, Mike has the exact same thing. And so that really what that does is it leaves Jonathan or Lindsay, and whoever does not win immunity, since one of them will always win immunity when they're still in the game, is going to go home. And so whoever goes home at that point, then we get to 4. And probably the person who didn't go home in the final 5 round between Jonathan and Lindsay will probably win immunity at the final 4, meaning that they will drag probably Romeo to the end and put Maryanne against, I would guess, Mike in fire. I don't know. It's always tough, but it's seeming maybe like a Maryanne versus Mike fire making competition. But then again, that's also me kind of reaching for a easy prediction. I think overall that Maryanne does have a path to the end, but it's going to have to involve either her winning immunity at 4, which isn't necessarily the craziest thing, as they're making these challenges easier for smaller people to win, less physical people to win. And so I could see her winning it. It would be kind of tough because it is Maryanne, someone who has 0 physical game, but I think that she could win. Or if Romeo wins, then he probably takes her to the end of the game. I don't know. It's really a tough situation where I feel like she wins a jury vote against anyone, and I think she has a path to the end. But does that come to fruition, or are we all getting tricked by the editors? And is someone like a Mike or a Lindsay going to win the game? We'll see. Down below, I want your final winner picks. Lock it in. Sign it with your signature. If you had to put your life on somebody winning the game, who is that person? As always, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm sure we're gasping to weird microphone. So as always, thank you. And if that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.